Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about facial bone, and here at the side you can see the colorful diagrammatic representation of skull showing different bone in different colors for the reference. So let's start our topic with introduction. Human skull is made up of 22 bones, of which are 14 are facial bones. These facial bones form the framework of face, provides cavity for sensory organs, hold teeth in place, and anchor muscles involved in facial expression and mastication. Unlike the cranial bones, which mainly serve to protect the brain, facial bones play a more prominent role in shaping the face and enabling essential functions like breathing, eating, speaking, and sensory perception. Overview of the facial bones. As we know, there are 14 facial bones, which include 2 nasal bones, 2 maxilla, 2 zygomatic bone, 1 mandible, 2 lacrimal bones, 2 palatine bone, 2 inferior nasal conchae, and 1 molar. Each one has a specific role in supporting facial structure and functions. Now let's talk about these bones one by one. First we will talk about nasal bone. As you can see here in diagram, the orange colored bone in front is the nasal bone. It is the pair bone, that means there are 2 nasal bones in every skull. Location and structure. Nasal bones are 2 small rectangular bones located in the midline of face. They form the bridge of nose and are positioned side by side between the maxillary bones. Function. They provide the upper structure of the nose. They support the cartilage that shape the lower part of the nose. They also serve as an attachment point for soft tissue and nasal muscles. Next bone is maxilla. As you can see here in diagram, the skin color bone that is holding up the upper teeth is the maxilla. It is pair bone, that means there will be 2 maxilla in every skull. Location and structure. The maxilla are 2 large bones that fuse at the midline to form the upper jaw. They also contribute the formation of orbits, nasal cavity, and the hard palate. Key features of maxilla. They contain the upper teeth socket that in the alveolar process. They form the anterior part of hard palate. They include maxillary sinuses that are large air-filled spaces that lighten the skull and resonate sound. Functions of maxilla. They hold the upper teeth. They form a major part of facial skeleton. They assist in forming the roof of mouth, sides of the nose, and floors of orbit. Next bone is zygomatic bone. As you can see here in diagram, the green color bone is zygomatic bone. They are also pair bones, that means there will be 2 zygomatic bones in every skull. Location and structure. Zygomatic bones are located on each side of face, forming the prominence of cheeks and contributing in the lateral wall and floor of the orbit. Key features of zygomatic bone. They are articulated with the maxilla, temporal bone, sphenoid bone, and frontal bone. They form part of zygomatic arch, that is the cheekbone structure. And the next is function of zygomatic bone. They form the shape of the cheek region. They help form the orbit. They provide attachment for muscles involved in facial expression. Now let's talk about mandible. As you can see here in diagram, the pink color bone that is located at the lower region of the face is the mandible. It is unpaired bone, that means there will be 1 mandible in every skull. Location and structure. Mandible is the largest and strongest facial bone. It forms the lower jaw and is only movable bone of the skull, excluding the ossicles of ear that are also the movable bones of skull. Next, talking about key features, they include the body, which holds the lower teeth. They have rami that connects the skull at the temporomandibular joint. They contain the mental foramen through which nerves and vessels pass. Functions of mandible. They support the lower teeth. They allow movement for chewing and speaking. They form the lower contour of face and chin. Next bone is lacrimal bone. As you can see here in diagram, in the orbital cavity, you can see the red color bone, that is lacrimal bone. There are also the pair bone, that means there will be 2 lacrimal bones in every skull. Location and structure. The lacrimal bones are smallest facial bone located in the medial wall of each orbit near the tear duct area. As you can see here in the diagram. Key features. Each bone contains a groove for the lacrimal sac, which helps drain tears into the nasal cavity. Functions of lacrimal bone. They assist in forming the medial wall of orbit. They support the tear drainage system. Next is palatine bone. Location and structure. Palatine bones are 2 L-shaped bones located at the back part of nasal cavity. They contribute to the formation of hard palate, the nasal cavity, and small portion of orbit. Key features of palatine bone. They consist of horizontal plate that form the posterior part of hard palate and vertical plate that is the rising from that part the lateral nasal wall. Functions, they help form the back part of hard palate. Second, it separates the nasal cavity from the oral cavity. Third, it supports the posterior region of nasal passages. Next bone is inferior nasal conchae, that is also the facial bone. These are thin scroll-like bones located inside the nasal cavity. They are separated from ethmoid bone, superior and middle nasal conchae. Function, they increase the surface area of nasal cavity. Second, it helps form moisten and filter the air before it reaches the lungs. They direct airflow through the nasal passages efficiently. Next bone is vomer. Location and structure. Vomer is a thin, flat bone located in the nasal cavity. It forms the inferior portion of nasal septum, which divides the nasal cavity into right and left halves. Functions of vomer. They support the structure of nasal septum. Second, it contributes to proper airflow and nasal function. Third, they provide structural integrity to the midline of the nose. Now let's talk about functions of facial bones. Facial bones are essential for several functions beyond forming the face. These include first, support and structure, as they provide the foundation for facial shape and expression, and they also anchor facial muscle for expression and chewing. Second function of facial bone is protection, as they enclose and protect sensory organs such as the eyes and nose and tongue. They also protect entrances to digestive system and respiratory system. Third function is movement, as they enable jaw movement for chewing and speech, and they also provide attachment point for muscles that moves the face and the jaw. Fourth function is passageway, as they contain opening for nerves and blood vessels to pass, and also form the wall of forehead, nasal cavity and oral cavity. Now let's talk about conclusion of this lecture video. Facial bones are integral to both the functional and aesthetic aspects of human face. They not only support vital structures such as eyes, nose, and mouth, but also play essential role in communication, expression, and feeding. Understanding the anatomy and function of these bones is crucial in field of medicine, dentistry, and allied health sciences. And this was all about facial bones. Hopefully you liked the video. If you do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching.